I have to look around. Like, I still said that I made this one so bad. Oh, there's a magnet.
World Star. Yeah!
There's a magnet. Nice. Woo! Goblin Queen! Goblin Queen! Yes, it is.
This year, a show came out called 1997. It's unbelievable that Disney has given us this opportunity to do this panel with the cast you're about to see, and you cannot wait to do this panel. So let's get on with the show, y'all.
Yeah!
Oh, here we go.
I'm sure you know this theme.
Yes, please.
Let's bring out Super Mega Junior James Castanera. Oh, our choice that Rogue is between Gambit and Big Alright, guys, you guys know this show. It has 100% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Highest rated Marvel project of all time.
Yeah!
Television series of the year, and we are so proud to be here.
Yeah, so let's get on with our questions. First up, I want to just say that the first X-Men comic book was released 60 years ago, in 1963. Since then, there have been numerous iterations from the comics to the video games to the cartoons to the live-action films and the television shows. So to each of you, I want to go down the line. What was your earliest memories of the X-Men franchise?
Jake, you're first.
My earliest recollection is the OG Konami game.
Yes!
Yeah!
That's where my love of Storm started, because that power was dope, wiping the net.
Yeah.
No, it was that, and then that obviously turned me on to the OG show, X-Men '92, and then from there I got into the Cockrum run, and then coincidentally into X Factor first, and I went backwards. When I was able to afford to buy comics, and I started with the Jim Lee run. So yeah, that's my earliest one.
Nice!
Good.
Well, mine definitely the OG '92. I remember in my mom's kitchen back in Brazil, my hometown, in my hometown called Campinas, and I would watch it, in the morning. I think it was after lunch or before lunch, and yeah, it was. That's definitely my first recollection. It was such a amazing time, and I'm so happy to be here.
This is crazy. I'm so happy. So my earliest recollection of it was, when I was a kid, I loved music more than anything, and I loved, imitating voices, as I'm sure many of us do here. And so it was the theme song that got me hooked originally. I heard the theme song, and I was like, what is this? This is incredible. And now, coming into this with the theme song again, like this is an incredible moment for me. I'm so happy you guys are here. This is awesome. So, the theme song.
My earliest memory is probably just 2 words. Berserker Barrage!
Yes! Marvel vs. Capcom.
I was a big arcade voyeur. I was never good enough with the button mashing to like play them, but I would stand behind people and just watch everybody else kick the crap out of each other in Marvel vs. Capcom and the original X-Men game. And I didn't come to the show until much later. By the time I got home from school and turned on Fox Kids, I was watching the end credits of X-Men so that I could watch the Power Rangers. Both theme songs that are totally lit and written by the same people. So, but yeah, big fan of the movies. Kind of became one of those deep dive people on Wikipedia and YouTube once they were invented. Just being like, wait, who's that person? Who's Kitty Pryde? Tell me more. So yeah, my X-Men fandom has been sort of a back end fandom, but it is massive nonetheless.
Nice.
I remember exactly the first time I ever encountered anything X-Men related. I was watching whatever was on Saturday morning. I had no awareness of X-Men as a thing. It suddenly came on, and this theme song started, and what is this?
Yes.
And then it started. I'm so sorry, I blew out everybody's ear. The theme song started, and then the Night of the Sentinels started, and from there, there's nothing about it that's not awesome. So from there, I collected every comic book that I could find and afford as an 8-year-old, whatever I found. But that's been it from there.
Nice.
I feel like we all have kind of the same answer, but it was the cartoon as a kid, like the Pizza Hut promos, and just going to KB Toys and digging through like second-tier characters.
Yes.
Like, give me Gambit and Wolverine. But yeah, the cartoon, I mean, it blew my mind as a kid. I remember I've said this a few times now, where I would like throw cards and just hope, one of them would go anywhere. But just, and I build my brother like a Cyclops visor out of brass, and we'd play the Sega game all the time with the bang, 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 like the ridiculous music. It's deeply ingrained in me. I remember begging my parents to go to Pizza Hut because of that.
Yes.
So, yeah.
I think I get a mic. Hey everybody, how y'all doing? Sugar. I walked into a studio in Toronto named Sounds Interchange in 1992, and I saw a picture of this character who was standing there with an attitude, and she had red hair with a white stripe down the middle, and she had her hand on her hip, and she was saucy. And I had been told they were looking for somebody who had a deep, husky, sexy voice who could do a southern accent. And so I went into the booth, and I opened up my mouth, and I said, my daddy liked to kill himself when he found out I was a mutant. I remember I had me a boyfriend when I was 13. Had me a boyfriend till I kissed him. Poor boy went into a coma for 3 days. And I heard these voices on the other end of the headphones in Los Angeles screaming like little girls, saying, and the rest is history.
There's a reason originally Lenore was going to be last, because following that is hard. I was actually in boarding school in England when the show came out, so I didn't see it live because I was locked in a large building. So I sort of came to awareness of X-Men by dribs and drabs of comic books that kids had that they brought in from various places. So I didn't ever get anything in order. Everything was out of order, different storylines.
storylines, different periods, different eras, so I had no idea what was going on ever. It was completely a mismatch. People seem to be changing sides all the time, and I never really understood it. So it was not actually until I got older and so the movies came out, and then I had some ability to go and look stuff up for myself and read stuff for myself, that it started to make more sense, apart from, well, this looks really cool, and they can do things that are awesome, so I'm going to keep reading it. So I don't have the same story, but mine also is basically me in prison as a child.
All right, Jake, I need to know, this show obviously is super nostalgic for people, but the show feels very fresh and very current, and the topics still feel relevant. So I'm just very curious, how do you guys approach that show? How are you able to create the blend of nostalgia and kind of new storytelling?
Oh, that's an awesome question. It absolutely takes a team. Nobody, as you can see, like a bunch of characters, a bunch of artists, it takes a big vision to do it. So before I go any further, if anybody on the team is here, can you guys please stand up or raise your hand or something? That's a big part of it. It's a team thing. Also, it goes down into the vision, the Bible, the scripts from day one. From Bo DeMelo's initial vision, and just luckily a lot of that of where the sandbox was going to be of the show, that was well decided before I was brought on board. So that was pretty good. But the term fresh but familiar, that's what I think one of the key ingredients of this is. That's the feedback that we hear from a lot of you guys, which is the point, was how does it feel so in tandem with the OG show, but also still feel relevant as of today? It comes down to everybody working in tandem together to tell the same story, to tell the same show, to make the same show. Understanding the core fundamentals of the X-Men, it always has been, always will be, and always should be an allegory for prejudice. When you take that away from the X-Men, it's no longer the X-Men. You can kind of put any sort of superhero team in that. But also the X-Men have a danger in, that's why they're dope. I just want to say, the Avengers just win that shit. Understanding, we've just grown so much as a society, as people, but also we still have blind spots and we could always be better, and there's still always so much to learn. There's a reason why the tones and themes that the Leewolds and Larry Houston never really shied away from in the OG show, why they're relevant today. They also didn't muddy it down. Yeah, it was wrapped in a Saturday morning cartoon, but they didn't dumb feed it to us. Beauty and the Beast is the one that always comes to mind for me. No, Brittany, you're never gonna heal my daughter. Gave your daughter eyes, because Beast was a mutant. That was, unbeknownst to me as a kid watching that was my first foray into understanding. Oh, that's what prejudice comes down to. So. I think that unfortunately that is a thing that just kind of transcends time right now. We'll always be better about that. And so X-Men is an IP that just needs hard to do.
A question, the question I have.
Everything is so secretive with Marvel, obviously, so I have no idea it was X-Men. I think I remember seeing Roberto, but I did not put two and two together. So I auditioned, didn't hear anything, as most of the audition process goes. They just, sent my audition to my agent. And then a few months later, in 2022, I think it was March or April, I get another audition, and a different name, it said Elijah. But I think it was like the code name was the same, so I was like, I didn't audition for this, and that had never happened. So I remember the signs, they were like very similar, so I auditioned again, and I completely forgot about it. And 2 months later, because I went back to the emails to get the, I got an email from my agent, and it literally said, "Congratulations, Pete, you are a superhero." And I was like, what did I audition for? I had no idea, so I went back to my email. Without even reading the rest of the email, I just what did I audition? What was it? And so he was like, "You're gonna be part of X-Men." I was freaking out, and I remember I was in New York because I was doing another project, and I was staying with a friend of mine, and I didn't know what to do because obviously it's so confidential. And I was so happy. I was like, what's going on? I couldn't tell him. Anyway, yeah, that's how it went down, and I was obviously extremely happy. So proud and so honored to to be representing my home country, but also to be becoming part of this incredible family, and this wonderful team. Like Jay says, it's just like it's a teamwork, and I am very, very grateful and extremely blessed.
Kind of similar timeline for me. I auditioned, I think, at the end of, like 2021, like in December, somewhere around there. And I remember seeing the initial audition, like it was codenamed and everything. And I didn't know what it was. I got like a couple of the sides, and I looked and I was like, oh, we're talking about like Storm and stuff. X-Men's coming back again. So I was like, cool, okay. And so I went through and I did the audition, and I sent it out. I think it was like, a month or two later when I found out that I got it. But I was actually in a session for another thing. I was doing a session for the game Starfield. I play a character in that. And I got the email while I was Starfield. One Starfield better. I was doing a session for that, and I got just an email, like it was about 500 record, like we're gonna come back and like some water or something. And I went to the email and it said that I got it, and I was like, there is nobody here. I don't know what to do. I can't celebrate or scream or do anything, but I just had to keep to myself and like keep going with the session. It was the hardest session I had to focus after that moment. And then the process of then doing the show and recording it has been just an incredible joy. And I think one of the first people that I got to talk about was my mom and my brother, who have been huge supporters of mine. My brother's the one that I did voices with growing up, and he's supported me my whole life, singing with my mom. And then it all kind of coalesced when, at the end of one of our sessions, I can't remember which one, they said, would you mind saying previously on X-Men for us? And I was like, I think our amazing director, Meredith, is here somewhere. When she said that, I thank you for that moment. That was really funny.
I don't know if it's just my age and my brain, but I don't remember all of this. I remember getting the audition, not really knowing much about the character because a lot of it was coded and it was under different names and everything. But I do remember that the character was listed as non-binary from the jump, and I was like, cool, okay. Reading in what thinly veiled backstory I could read, I was like, wow, I really identify with his character and his story. He has a fairly traumatic backstory, but he covers it up with humor. He's very witty, he's the comic relief, and I think not only for me, but just sort of generally for queer people, there is sort of a very identifiable trope of pushing through trauma with humor. So that really resonated with me. I do remember, I don't know if it was a callback or if it was just that I called Meredith in panic, but I do remember getting some direction from Meredith somewhere along the way. And P.S., this is where I'm gonna gush for a moment. Everybody has said that one of the greatest voice directors of our time was Andrea Romano, who directed Batman the Animated Series. She's considered Meredith Lane is her successor. I mean, go on IMDb and pack a lunch, but Arcane, Blood of Zeus, Castlevania Nocturne, What If, and now X-Men 97. This is the director of Prestige Animation, and if you watch anything that has been excellent in adult animation, she's directed it. And I'd just like to make Meredith Lane cry. Thank you, bye. Someone's getting hired again.
That's how he booked his next one. What was the question? Same auditions coming through all the time through my agency. Thank you, Atlas Helen. It was just another audition, but it was under a code name and a code title,
but the audition materials were clearly lines from Night of the Sentinels, so I recognized it immediately. I could name all this all you want. I know exactly what this is. And at the time, they were looking for a voice match, so I was doing that, and then I spent a long time in my home studio booth, just sort of redoing it, listening back, and just being like, okay, does it sound enough like it, and also does it sound enough like with the acting? And then sent that in. I think there were two different excitement moments of as others have said, when you audition in voiceover, you sort of record your things, you send them in. It's like throwing letters down a well. You never hear back there's no feedback, So for all I knew, they had already cast. I don't know what was going on with it. Then I was actually on a road trip. I booked a TV show, and I was driving 5 hours north of where I was because I'd been invited to something out for a vacation. I arrived and I was supposed to do table reads for this other show, and I was like, oh, I've got to get online. I was late and all this stuff, and I also had this email sitting there that said, they'd like you for a test report. It's like, congratulations due to the voice match and your relationship with the show. So I was freaking out there, and then I'd go do Zoom table reads and get cut off because of rain or whatever. Then months later on set for this other show, we're in holding, holding's waiting, right? You're sitting around, whatever. So I'm doing this, and I'm flipping through, and I get this email, and then it says it's the offer, and I, in holding, everybody's quiet on their phones, and I go, oh my god! And then he was like, what's wrong? What's going on? I'm like, nothing! So I booked a job up on it, thanks. So yeah, and then it's been, nonstop freaking out over my good fortune ever since.
We all dealt with the coded files and stuff where it's 30 different characters, and they're all called Jack and Brian, and I was it was so weird, and it was the worst disguise for these names. But it was I looked through the files, I was like, this is X-Men, this is X-Men, this is X-Men. My brain was going a million miles an hour, and I was like, is this the show? Are they bringing back the ship? Just trying to process. And then after I looked through all the files, I was like, I only want to be Gambit. Which I would never recommend anyone ever do, but out of the 30 characters I got, I was like, I'm only auditioning for Gambit as that. If I don't get Gambit, I don't, I was like, that's it. As much as I'd love to be anyone else, I was still just this is my guy. So, I just recorded it over and over again and tried to add improvised things. And I threw in some lines from the show that weren't asked of. And then, when they asked me to do the callback, I was crapping my pants. Oh God, they want me to come in and record, and and then Jake was there and Meredith, and it was so insane. I was like, I hope this doesn't suck, but I was nerding out at you guys, and it was, I don't know what to say other than just freaking out. When I finally found out, it was I don't know how to describe it. For my neighbors, they probably thought a little bomb went off. I was like, I'm Kevin! So the only one that knew were my dogs. And, and they told everybody. It was wild because it was summer 2021 for me. It was early in the process, and then I'm still trying to figure it out. As someone who's been a fan for so long, and I've cosplayed as a game when I was a kid and stuff, this is weird. I'm still, I don't know if I'll ever absorb it, honestly, but yeah.
I'll absorb it for you.
You guys share the microphone, Nicole, I only heard your audition.
Thank you. My second audition, because you already heard about my first one, but I did have to audition for the role the second time, as did all of us. But first of all, I gotta say, I'm so happy to meet all these newcomers who are so excited and such fans of the show. It's so nice to have you guys here.
Thank you!
It's fabulous. I'm totally stoked. We're gonna have so much fun.
Yeah!
So, the second time around, I had left acting for 12 years to go into politics in Canada. Yeah. And I had been elected 4 times, so 4 continuous terms. And my last term was federal. I was state to begin with, like provincial on the state level, like a congresswoman, and then I went federal. And I was working with Prime Minister Trudeau and stuff like that. So, you know, I had just lost my 5th election. So I'd won 4, and then I just lost my last one. And we just had the pandemic and a mass shooting that was awful in my constituency. And my little niece, my sweet little niece, who we had actually adopted from China, Maya, had contracted cancer, and she had just died at the age of 17. Yeah, so I was pretty devastated, and I didn't know what I was going to do with the rest of my life. I was kind of like, okay, universe, what now? You know, what do I need to do? Where do I go? And suddenly I got this message that Disney was trying to find me. And I was like, yeah, right. I'm like, yeah, sure, right? Tell me another one. But I said to the friend who had emailed me, yeah, no, actually, they want to find you. I'm like, okay, well, if it's real, give them my phone number. And Meredith called, our wonderful casting director, and she said, yeah, actually, we'd like you to audition for this new show. I don't know if she told me, right away what it was. She said, but we'd really like you to audition. Do you mind if we send you like some lines to record and send us back? And I was like, sure, no problem. So she sent them to me, and again, it was a character name, like, it was probably like Sally or something. It was some weird, yeah, it might have been Maria, that would make more sense. But I read it, I was like, oh, this is rogue. These are lines that I've already done. So I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll just do rogue then. So I did, I recorded it on my phone, and I sent it as an MP3 to Meredith, and then a few weeks later, a month later, something like that, I got word back that the producers wanted to meet with me. So I went on a Zoom call with Meredith and the producers, and we read a couple of scenes, and then they just went, hey, Lenore, we love your work, and we're so fanboying and fangirling out. Will you please do our show? And I'm like, absolutely, sugar. The universe works in mysterious ways, and my advice is just hang on. Life is a roller coaster. Just hang on.
First thing I want to say is, I'm very disappointed with how many of you told people when you got the role that you were supposed to come. You were all under NDAs. Very disappointed. Having said that, it was the same process as everybody else. The interesting twist that I had was that our amazing director Jake had actually worked with my beautiful wife Rachel on a previous show, and they had sort of kept in touch. And so I don't know whether you're going to be happy I'm telling this, but when we went and did the callback, as I came out like for a break at one point during it, Rachel, I went into the house from the office, and Rachel said, Jake is texting me that it's going really well. And I said, okay, great. I'm going to try and go back and not cock it up. And apparently, I managed to hold it together enough that we got through it. And yeah, that was sort of the process. It was as everybody had sort of told you, and then doing the callback. And for me, it was interesting because we had clips from the shows when we were voice matching. We had sort of clips from the original, and so there was, as Holly talked about a little bit, okay, how close can I get to this person? And also, how close can I do without losing the ability to make my own choices? And so that was kind of the dance to do. And then fortunately, Meredith was wonderful about saying, you're close enough here, now just do what you do. And that sort of helped a lot to be able to sit down and do the thing and have it come out hopefully in a way that people liked, which they like me now.
Yeah!
Well, we wanted to show you new footage, but of course Disney said no. So
It's a good chance if you see an action scene that you lose your shit over, it's probably boarded by aliens.
amazing. All right, we're going to give you some audience questions.
I absorbed it from you.
You forget.
Previously on X-Men.
Yeah!
Previously on X-Men.
Previously on...
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm doing the wrong person. Previously on X-Men.
Previously on X-Men.
Previously on X-Men.
I don't want to let you wear his mouth is.
Fighting over me already. Previously on X-Men show.
Previously on X-Men.
Yeah!